And so who knows what a radical is? Radical has kind of got a bad name in the press lately, right? You know, a radical is an extremist, right? Is a person that is a fundamentalist, right? And I would say that I am, as regards agile, you know, an extremist, a fundamentalist. I believe in certain things, and if I think that that's somewhat unfashionable, right? You know, in the agile coaching scene, but I'm really kind of disinterested in living outside of those values, right? And we'll get a little bit more into this. So just a little homage, this book is kind of very influential to me, and it's political, right? So I like to kind of remove it from its political context and apply it to product development, which isn't so political, right? So we're not talking about political extremism or religious extremism or fundamentalism. We're talking about the fundamentals of product development, right? And the fundamentals of Gestalt and how a team comes together and acts as a unified whole rather than a collection of individuals. That's my interest. All right, so that's the context. I'm Dave Laribee, by the way. I work for version 1. I'm the internal agile coach for the product development team. If there are any version 1 clients here, you can come up to me afterwards and complain about the product, and I'll hear you out and we'll hopefully make a difference. But anyway, so this.
Regardless of any complaints, it is a relatively good product.
It's, you know, it does what it does, right? It is what it is. We've got a new UI coming out. You'll love it. If you're not a customer, you will be. I guarantee it. I mean, no, yeah. Anyway, so this is not a lecture. I'm not going to sit here or stand here and pace here, whatever I do. I'm not, there'll be a little bit of that, okay? But I'm not gonna, I really don't want to just talk at you, right? If you're here, I hope that you are interested in making a positive change, right? An A+ Ultra, right? I hope that you are interested in making something happen where you work. So just quick show of hands. Okay, let's divide you into a pie chart, right? Who's a developer? Almost all of you. Okay, who's like kind of product side, like product manager, product owner, that kind of thing? All right, who's the big cheese? Who's the boss? El Jefe. Okay, you guys, you shared boss, all right, yeah. No, you're the boss, no, you're the boss. All right. So we have a mix here, mainly developers, and I think, you know, this talk probably will appeal kind of to the developer side, although there's zero technical content here. But this discussion, sorry. So we want to make some kind of change, right? We want things to happen. So just a little background. This is kind of the agile thing. I kind of puts a little bit lean, agile, whatever. I know this is Path to Agility Conference, and I know I work for an agile company, and I'm an agile coach, and it's like all agile all the time, but like, I'd like us just to forget that, right, for a second. And that to me is process. That's all. That's all process is. If you put that above product, if you put that above people, you're doomed to failure. You're doomed to failure, right? So I like this, and I had to add something to this, but the only best practices are, this is a huge screen, by the way. This is, you know, the only best practices are situational awareness, learning, and experimentation, right? Knowing what's going on, paying attention, being actively involved, listening, right? Experimenting, trying things out, right? You know, hey, let's try TDD. Hey, let's try pair programming, and learning, you know, what works for us, what doesn't work for us, right? That's it, right? I'd add to that feedback. I think feedback is critical. I think all of Agile comes down to feedback. If we look at extreme programming, for example, you have, what are the core values? Anyone know the core values of extreme programming?
Courage, communication, simplicity, feedback, respect.
Boom, right there, right? Okay, so feedback, I would say, is critical. And when you get into, like, as a developer, right, you know, you're running your test suite and it takes 2 minutes, and then you start to get annoyed with that, right? And you want it to be 2 seconds, right? I mean, the feedback is an addictive thing. You know, it's critical in product ownership, product management, right? Getting feedback from a customer. tighter, shorter releases, smaller releases, that kind of thing, right? So I think that is probably a first principle along with learning, experimentation, situational awareness.
You're going somewhere with this, right? Because I got a question.
I'm going somewhere with this? No, I'm just going to talk for an hour.
Right,
No,
so you
literally,
don't
I'm going to talk for an hour and
somebody
50.
to talk for an hour, right?
What's that?
You don't want somebody. You don't want it to talk for an hour.
No,
right?
I don't.
Okay.
No.
So you got this stuff up here: situational awareness, learning, experimentation. Here's my problem: trying to get people to want to learn or to be interested.
Okay.
In anything.
Yeah.
Seems to be the crux of a big problem.
Apathy.
Apathy.
Yeah.
People that are inside their comfort box. People think they already got it. I've worked.
Arrogance.
Yeah. I got 1 year of experience 20 times.
Yeah.
And so I don't want someone to disturb me. And I think that's really great, and that seems to be right in line with what they were talking about with Deming here at the keynote. So how do you get people to appreciate that statement?
All right. All right, so rules for software radicals. Here's a rule. The easiest rule, okay, this is the cheapest rule. Quit. All right, that's the cheapest rule. Save up enough money in your bank account so that you can quit. Start a blog, get a reputation so that you can get a new job, right? That's the first rule. I'm sorry, it's a cop-out, but it's a rule, right? That's rule 0, okay? Leave. If you, I mean, there are places where arrogance and apathy are the you know, nom de guerre, right? So that's the first rule, okay? Now let's find some more actionable rules, okay? Okay, so that's what we're fighting, right? We're fighting this kind of like unwillingness to change, this boredom, this kind of like ossified culture, this inertia, technical debt. I mean, there's a number of reasons why people would be this way, right? So how do we help? What's your name, sir?
Jim.
Jim. How do we help Jim? Who's got advice for Jim? There's one. Fire him. Okay. Rule 1. So we're rule 0, quit. Rule 1, fire the sandbaggers. Okay. Okay. What do you got?
If you need to find at least one person who does want to learn, who is passionate, you need to find a way to make sure that people notice how much fun they're having.
Yeah, so there's, I wish I had a whiteboard. This is how we usually make a mind map of these. You know, I've done this a couple times. We usually make a mind map. Okay, so I have a very shallow stack, but help me out. We've got, between us, we can remember all of these. So rule 0, what's rule 0? Quit. Rule 1 was, what's that? Fire, right? Fire. Rule 2, focus on that person. Focus, find that little ember of interest, right? Find that little, that kernel, right? And focus your efforts there, one-on-one, right? Try to build a team and build a small team in the inside that then you have, okay, so rule 3, I'll add, healthy peer pressure, right? Because once you get a couple allies, right? And you're on the ground, right? And you haven't brought them in because that's rule 4. Then it becomes a little harder for people to resist. Especially, I think, you know, I don't think it's so much that people don't like to change. I think that the situation around them promotes this unwillingness to change, right? Or this inertia, right? You know, and I think that it's pretty easy to just be like, kind of negative and fault folks for not changing, that kind of thing. But you got to look at kind of the situation. You got to look at, like, you know, repetition is a powerful force. You know, like showing up the same day and having the same things happen and being told the same thing and having delivery trump quality and, you know, any reason really, you know. So okay, who remembers the rules that we have? We have quit. Quit, fire.
Find ember and focus.
Find an ally, right? Find that one ally, right? And then okay, so a 4th rule is hire ringers. Okay, anyone knows Stephen Harmon, right? You know, version 1, whatever. So yeah, I hired him from Pillar, right? You know, or wherever he was. And we you know, we brought him in, and it's just like, you know, this guy's like a extreme programming. He's just super retarded in love with extreme programming. You know, he just loves it, right? You know, you know, so I mean, it's like you don't have to really give him. He's got the religion. You know what I mean? Like, so it's kind of like, and he's a bull in a china shop. You know, as far as extolling those things. So it kind of makes your job easy as a coach, right? Now do that a few more times. You know, hire 4 or 5 people. All right, we're an XP shop. Great. Okay, so that's kind of a cheap way out, you know, as far as change. But I mean, these to me are the secrets of agile coaching. Is you come in with a little bit of hiring authority, right? When you get hired, and you've got go no go on anyone that comes in the team for sure. Don't go there, right? I mean, if you have no authority as a coach, I'm not saying that you need carte blanche, right? You don't need a. I'm not a manager, right? I'm a leader of the team though. But I'm definitely consider myself a leader. I'm not manipulating things silently, you know. All right, so there's a 4th rule. So I think the 5th rule, and perhaps the most important rule, is listening. Listening, active listening. It's hard. People don't do well at this. I'm a terrible listener. Ask my girlfriend. She, you know, I mean, you know, so I have to work at this, right? This is an active thing. But listening more than talking. I mean, I'm up here. Okay, in 2006, I did 20 conferences. And last year, I did 2 or 3 because I just don't like to really talk that much anymore. I mean, it's hard to believe now because I'm just like blah, 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 right? But I don't, you know, listening is, you kind of have to cultivate that skill. And the reason why is you need to understand what you have a hope of changing, what needs to be changed, what changes are going to take, right? Now, here's my tip for listening. And this comes from Science Friday. Anyone listen to Science Friday? Great little, you know, radio dealy. But pay attention for the first minute that someone talks. Actively, right? Just pay attention. And after that, it's a lot easier to listen, right? The other tip I have for listening is introverts, extroverts, familiar with this idea, right? You can kind of, you know, you quickly identify who's an extrovert. They like to talk a lot. And extroverts, I'm an extrovert, right? Extroverts think out loud. That's what they do. So you got to kind of, with an extrovert, pay attention to everything that they say because they're rendering their ideas aloud, right? An introvert is kind of paying attention to the only thing they say. Or you know, extroverts, the last thing they say. Introverts, everything they say, right? So active listening is key. Knowing where you're going, that's rule 5. So who wants to summarize the rules? What do we got? Quit. Fire. Focus on the interested people. Healthy peer pressure. Hire ringers. Listen, right? Listen. In no particular order, right? Quit, maybe last result. Maybe a descending order so far. We're about to change. So we'll insert in that list, just to complicate things. Well, let's crowdsource. What's a good? Someone here, give me an example of a change that you would like to make or you have made in your team, in your development team, in your organization, in your life. I mean, let's not get super personal. It gets weird when we go there, right? You know, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Transitioned out, or trying to transition out of an old legacy Swing application to web apps and Rails. And so it was a rather large change for us because prior to that, I mean, everything had been Swing. So getting to that point, getting management to kind of accept that change or go along with it, that was a major battle for us.
Okay. So this is an application that existed and was in production?
Yes.
In Swing mode, and it was a big rewrite?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So how did you convince people?
A lot of it, we had to come up with very good reasons as to why we wanted to make the change.
Yes. Awesome. All right. Use data. All right. Use data. Use more than your mouth. Okay. I like this simple formula.